Guys, this is probably my most excited video to date. I reached out to some popular authors in the sci-fi and fantasy community and asked them if they would be willing to share their favorite reads of 2022 so far, and a lot of them answered yes. I will have authors such as Ken Liu, Fonda Lee, Nicholas Eames, Ruocchio, Andrea Stewart, and more in this video. How crazy is that? A huge thank you to all the authors that were willing to join these collaborations. I am so honored. Also, at the end of this video, I will have Andrew for AndrewsWizardlyReads share his favorite read of 2022 so far, because I made a huge mistake last time. I accidentally forgot to put his video into the compilation. Really sorry, Andrew. So make sure to stick to the end so you can see what his favorite book of 2022 has been so far. So without further ado, and I actually can't believe I'm saying this, take it away, Fonda Lee. Also, a special thanks to my patrons who support my passion for books. I really appreciate it.
Hi, Library of a Viking. I'm Fonda Lee, author of The Greenbone Saga, and one of my favorite reads of 2002 so far has been The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. I don't get to read as many new releases as I would like to, but I was drawn to the premise of this book because I love a good legal thriller, and this is the epic fantasy version of a John Grisham novel, but starring Judge Dredd as told by his sidekick. So if that sounds like something that would appeal to you, definitely check it out. It also has themes that I haven't seen a lot of in other epic fantasy novels, including legal jurisprudence, equality under the law, and the importance of separation of power between church and state.
Hi there, Library of a Viking. Thanks for having me. My name is Nicholas Eames. I'm the author of the Band series, which currently includes Kings of the Wild and Bloody Rose, and will eventually include a absolutely incredible third book entitled Outlaw Empire. Anyways, my favorite book of 2022 so far will come as no surprise to anyone who knows me, and that is Guy Gabriel Kay's All the Seas of the World, which is a standalone book. It's sort of a sequel to his last two, but not really. And it's also kind of a victory lap of all his Mediterranean settings, from ancient Byzantium to the Moorish Peninsula, and it is absolutely incredible. I've cried at every single Guy Gabriel Kay book I've ever read. This is no exception, despite my incredible manliness. And yeah, I highly recommend this and any other book by him if you haven't read them yet. Anyways, thanks for having me.
Hey, Library of a Viking, it's JimWilbourne, author of the Continuer Chronicles, and today I want to share my favorite read of 2022 so far. And the award goes to Stones of Light by Zach Argyle. Voice of War was a satisfying experience, and I wanted to see how the author executed his second installment. Would it fall apart, or would he pull together a story as compelling as the first? Like Voice of War, I found Stones of Light incredibly difficult to put down. The story's pacing is a masterwork, and I loved how the characters were continuously placed in impossible situations that required sacrifice and inner turmoil to overcome. I wholeheartedly recommend that you jump into this series. Seriously, do it.
Hello, Library of the Viking. Thank you for having me. I'm Ken Liu, the author of the Danzang Dynasty, and my favorite read of 2022 is Servant Mage by Kate Elliott. This is a story about revolutions, about individuals making difficult choices in a world of magic and conspiracy. It's all the more remarkable because it is an epic fantasy story told in 150 pages, incredibly rare in the genre. I also wanted to recommend it because it serves as a terrific introduction to Kate Elliott's work. Kate is one of the most amazing authors working right now in epic fantasy. She has incredible, gorgeous world building, great characters, beautiful prose, just everything you can ask for in the book. And if you like this book, I hope you will go on to read the rest of her huge doorstopper epic fantasy tomes. So enjoy.
Hi, Library of a Viking. I'm Rob J. Hayes, author of many books, including we'll go with Titan Hoppers, because that's my latest release. And my favourite read of 2022 so far is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. It's an old favourite of mine, which is actually why I read it this year. Beginning of the year, I was in a massive reading slump, couldn't find anything I wanted to read. I was DNFing things all over the place. So I picked up an old favourite and I went with this one and fell in love with it all over again. It's brilliant. It's just, Robin Hobb gives such, she has such an amazing way of just bringing characters to life over just a few words as possible, and It's kind of almost a classic story of, young boy apprentice to an assassin, as per the title. And yeah, absolutely loved it. So there we go. Thanks.
Hi, Library of a Viking. My name is Ed McDonald. I'm the author of Daughter of Redwinter and the Raven's Mark trilogy. My favourite book of 2022 so far has to be Among Thieves by M.J. Kuhn. It's a fantasy heist kind of thriller featuring some excellent characters. It's got good pacing, and I really don't like heists. I can't watch an Oceans movie and enjoy it. But for some reason, the combination of magic, twists and turns, and fast-paced action and dialogue really, really worked for me. So it's a great debut. I strongly recommend it. Check out Among Thieves.
Hey, Library of a Viking, Christopher Ruocchio here, author of the Sun Eater science fantasy series from Dog Books. Thanks for having me on. My favorite read of 2022 so far is a little bit of a cheat. It is an older book. I hope that is okay. But folks may know that I am a huge fan of the late Gene Wolfe. He's my favorite science fiction writer. But what people may not know is that I'm a huge fraud. And when I say that, it means I'm a Book of the New Sun fan. I have actually been very slow working my way through Gene Wolfe's books. Just because there is a finite supply of them. And so my favorite thing that I have read recently is the sequel series to Book of the New Sun, Book of the Long Sun, which is actually 4 books. It appears to be 2 here because I have the 2 omnibus sort of editions. They did the same thing they did with New Sun. We've got Litany of the Long Sun and Epiphany of the Long Sun, each of which have 2 books in it. This is really cool. It is a generation arc story. It is about a group of people who are on an O'Neill cylinder kind of spaceship, although they don't know it's a spaceship anymore. The voyage has been going on for so long, people just think that is the way the world works. And it is an absolute blast. Gene Wolfe is a genius. And this is absolutely a must read. You can totally read it if you haven't read Book of the New Sun yet, but you will get a little bit more out of it if you read Gene Wolfe's more famous Book of the New Sun first. So that is my favorite thing for 2022 to date, although it was published, I think, back in the 90s. So I hope you will forgive me for that. I don't get to reading a lot of contemporary stuff, but thank you for having me on. Bye.
Hi, Library of a Viking. My name is Richard Swan, and I'm the author of The Justice of Kings. And my best book of 2022 so far is Between Two Fires by Chris Buehlman. This is an extraordinary novel. It's the tale of Thomas, a knight in medieval France, who is tasked with escorting a young girl to the Pope in Avignon. And all the while, the bubonic plague is raging. It's the middle of the 14th century. And so it's a very grisly book, but at the same time, there's the war in heaven is happening. So there's this kind of thread of brutal cosmic demonic horror running through the novel, which leads to some extremely frightening moments. I highly recommend this book. It's basically Dante on LSD. Pick it up. Make sure you grab a copy. Thanks.
Hi, Library of a Viking. I'm Andrea Stewart, the author of The Bone Shard Daughter, and my favorite read of 2022 so far is The Obsidian Tower by Melissa Caruso. So I had bought this a while ago on sale, and I picked it up recently and just flew through it and was wondering why I hadn't picked it up to read earlier. So it kind of gave me Garth Nick's Old Kingdom vibes, but with deep forests, stags, and owls. And I basically ended up ripping through this book and picking up the next one right away just because I had to know what happened.
Hi, Library of a Viking. I'm J.E. Hannaford, author of the Black Hind's Wake series, The Skin and The Pact. My favourite read of 2022, actually I can't pick one, I'm really sorry. I'm going to pick one trad and one indie. My trad published choice is The Girl in the Moon by Mark Lawrence. The Book of the Ancestor is my absolute favourite series ever, and so this sequel series as such, not quite sequel, but the last book of this series just tied together the end of yet another fabulous series and tied back in just that bit into the Book of the Ancestor, and that just made it for me. And as an indie choice, I'm really late to this party, but I'm going to say Rob J. Hayes and Never Die. I've read a lot of indie fantasy this year, but this was the book that I loved, that when I was asked to pick a book was the one that my gut kind of said, yeah, that's the one. And it was the world, the characters, and for me it just worked. I started it, I read it, it dragged me along, and yeah, I can't wait to read the rest of that sequence. So there you go, it's my favourite books of the 2022 so far.
And now we come to Andrew, who is an amazing booktuber. Make sure to subscribe to his channel. Take it away, Andrew.
Hey everyone, AndrewsWizardlyReads here, and I would just like to thank Library of a Viking for reaching out and asking me what my favorite read of 2022 is so far. And I mean, I've got some options, some great choices here, but if I have to just choose one, I'm gonna go with The Legend of Black Jack by A.R. Witham. This is a fantastic coming-of-age portal fantasy that just hits all of those nostalgia beats that I absolutely love. This just transported me back to, like, experiencing the never-ending story, the hook, Pagemaster, Chronicles of Narnia, what have you. This is an awesome fantasy adventure. It is an absolute delight and probably one of my new all-time favorites. I consider this an instant classic and gets a high recommend from me.
And that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. See you in the next video.